I want to see what happens if I don't give up. It's how I got to this point now. It's how I've gotten to every point in life.
It's wonderful.
And in a lot of different ways, I feel like where you're at, before we really even get into your story, it exudes who you are in many different ways. When I say that line, I want to see what happens if I don't give up. What's something that comes to mind for you, whether it happened in the past year or previously?
Specific example. I could probably give you anecdotally a few, but I want to. I love that. What if I don't give up? I want to respond to it with not necessarily a mantra, but two things that I think everyone is capable of understanding and applying themselves to, and then where we break in application. The first is a hospitality sort of quip, and I'm going to spend only a few seconds talking about it, but like you hear, don't sweat the small stuff. I'm the opposite. I like sweating the small stuff. I believe the devil is in the details. I'm obsessed with, the particulars. So when you can shrink things down, when you can slow things down, I think that's a separation mechanism where I'm going to become hyper-focused on a nuance. And by sweating the small stuff in opposition to the popular quip, I think there's a lot of ground to be made. But that's not when I hear don't give up, I hear like, that reminds me of there's 24 hours in a day. That's another broad, how do you get anything done? How do you find the time? And then that proverbial answer is, well, there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's fair. I think if we were to pick that apart and start applying it to people, whether it's in media, whether it's in music and entertainment, whether it's in a highly competitive field. So hospitality, highly competitive field.
Yeah, very.
Politics, highly competitive, super, highlighted field. And entertainment DJing, highly competitive field.
Yeah.
So then when we say, well, where do you find the time to differentiate yourself amongst the crowd?
Yeah.
I think, and the mantra of not giving up or not quitting, I think is in line with this idea that if I were to wake up 30 minutes earlier, if I were to stay awake or stay at the office or not close my laptop, if I were to spend just 30 minutes more time on a specific, hyper-focused on a specific issue, I may differentiate myself from that populated field.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing to me is, yes, we are all in the same time continuum, and I'm not being philosophical. I'm being precise. I'm speaking as a matter of fact. But it's not, the indictment isn't for the people who spend the 30 minutes. It's how many people won't. So how many people won't wake up 30 minutes earlier?
Yeah.
We all have the 24 hours.
We do.
And we're all in incredibly competitive arenas, but it becomes easier to close a laptop. It becomes easier to pick up the phone and go onto social media. It becomes easier to turn on the TV or just hit the snooze button. So the inverse, I believe, of not quitting and not giving up is, in fact, putting in more time.
Yeah.
But what is and the inverse to that would then be quitting or giving up,
right?
Which is not waking up the 30 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
So most people won't do that, and I don't mean to say that that's not a finger pointing statement. That's kind of a look in and a framing of what it takes. Everybody thinks. Yeah. So many people think it takes so much more to get ahead.
Yeah.
Or it takes an incredible happenstance or a and a lot of that's probably true. Luck has a ton to do with it, and I know somehow we'll get into the formulas for success. But I actually believe let's break up this macro intensity into a bunch of micro segments where, okay, I'm just gonna spend 30 more minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna devote a few extra moments and a little bit more time in perfecting my craft, which inevitably results in your separation from the masses. So I love that. I love it.
I knew you were the right
I like
person
where
to
you
ask this
started
question,
with
too.
it. I don't like that word, that quit word.
Yeah.
I don't like the use of negative words. And I'm not. People who know me personally would never describe me as a perennial optimist, but I know a lot of the people you deal with are super high energy, very positive.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Positivity is so intoxicating. I mean, we were, in the few minutes before I came, we were just rapping about some of our shared contacts because we've actually never met.
Right.
And, if I were to dissect our conversation, I would say the commonality, the common variable between us would have been positivity.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It wasn't in craft. It was in, man, don't you just love that person and love that energy and love that, excitement toward, future endeavor. So, yes.
I love that.